And here we are, the final day of our adventure, exploring the Scottish Highlands and camping on top of an old Land Rover Defender. Yesterday we explored more of Skye in our Landy, including a boat trip to spot wildlife, looking for dinosaur footprints on a beach, and taking in more of the breathtaking scenery that Skye has to offer, before heading back across the bridge to the mainland. Today we'll be making our way back across the Scottish Highlands towards Inverness to return the Land Rover, before making our way back home. Waking up to a beautiful morning high above Loch in Rattigan was a breathtaking start to the day. The view, with sunlight streaming through the distant mountains, was absolutely stunning. What a fantastic way to begin the day.
Good morning.
Morning.
How are you feeling?
I'm alright.
It was a way better night's sleep, I think. Anyway, it wasn't gale force winds. It wasn't torrential sideways rain.
No. No midges.
No midges.
Yep. Up for another day. Off for another adventure.
Our Land Rover had to be returned to Inverness by midday, which was about a 2-hour drive away. However, we had a couple of other places we wanted to see on this side of the loch before heading back.
Good morning and thank you for joining us again. So here we are on our last leg of our road trip. Can you believe it? It's gone so quickly. It's been so much fun though, despite the horrendous weather 2 days ago. But so what we have on the agenda for this morning is we're off to see some ancient rocks, which are over 2,000 years old, from the Iron Age, which are basically old kind of watchtower structures, kind of cylindrical, round structures. And as well as that, we're off to see some old barracks which were built in the 1700s by the British government during the Jacobite Rising to control the flow of the population, or the people passing from one area to another. So that should be interesting. The ruins of those barracks are still standing for us to go and have a little look at. And then we just need to head back to Inverness to drop off the Land Rover for lunchtime. So we'll see you in a bit.
We embarked on a 14-minute drive west, continuing along the old military road, to reach the ruins of Land Rover Barracks in Glenelg. Glenelg is where we would have caught the small original Skye ferry to and from the Isle of Skye. The barracks are now in a state of disrepair and are fenced off to the public for safety reasons. They were meant to guard the important route between the Isle of Skye and the Western Isles and the mainland. After snapping a few pictures, we had originally planned to continue for another 10 minutes along the road to visit Glenelg Barracks. Unfortunately, time had once again slipped away, so we had to turn back to the A87 and continue our journey to Inverness. journey back was leisurely, a welcome change from the single track roads. The sun was shining and it was a beautiful day. With that, our road trip was almost over. All that remained was the 4-hour journey back home. As we passed through the Cairngorms National Park, eager to savour the last moments of our trip, we briefly stopped off at Ruthven Barracks in Kingalusie. Built in the 1700s, just after the failed Jacobite uprising, Ruthven Barracks were in much better condition than the Land Rover Barracks. Visitors could actually enter and learn about their history. 2 hours later, we found ourselves back in Stirling, so we made a quick stop at the National Wallace Monument. This 67-metre tower stands on the shoulder of the Abbey Crag, overlooking Stirling, and it commemorates Sir William Wallace, a Scottish hero from the 13th and 14th centuries. Our visit here was brief since it was getting late in the day, and Benji was with us, so we wouldn't have been able to go inside. Although I had previously visited the National Wallace Monument, and for a fee you can explore the interior and climb the narrow spiral staircase to the roof for spectacular views across Stirling. After snapping a few photos of the outside, we hopped back into the car for the 40-minute drive back home from Stirling. And that brought our road trip to a close. In a nutshell, Scotland is just mind-blowingly awesome. It's got this incredible history and some of the most jaw-dropping landscapes you'll ever lay your eyes on. We consider ourselves super lucky to call this place home, especially when the Highlands are just a few hours drive away. Now, we did hit a bit of a rough patch with the weather on Saturday, but let's put that aside because the rest of the trip, weather-wise, was pretty decent. Sure, it was a tad windy, but the silver lining was that it kept those pesky midges away. Exploring the Highlands and the Isle of Skye, pure magic. The views were out of this world. But here's the thing, we visited in August when it was packed with other travellers and campers. Finding a quiet spot to call our own was like hunting for treasure. And we weren't too keen on being crammed into crowded campsites every night. Now picture this, cruising around in an old Land Rover Defender and crashing in a rooftop tent. It was an absolute blast, and we were already plotting our next adventure on the way back home. In a nutshell, it was a crazy, amazing experience, and we're shouting from the rooftops, go for it. Our photos really don't even come too close to doing Scotland justice. You've got to see this place with your own eyes to believe it. We really hope you enjoyed following along on our adventure. And if you've only just joined us for this last episode of our Scottish Highland camping trip, then I'll leave the links to the previous episodes in the description below, so that you can go back and watch them. Also, we'd love to hear about your own trips to Scotland, so feel free to comment below. If you haven't already, please remember to like and subscribe, and we look forward to seeing you on our next trip.